Okay, I just came back on. Hopefully everyone can see me now. Just gonna wait a couple more minutes for people to join. Um, Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Farah. I'm the founder and CEO of Kalm Mindfulness Consulting. It's a mindfulness consulting agency that specializes in stress and anxiety management and integrating wellness in the workplace. So I work with a lot of organizations in technology, in government, and in and also in education around the world. So when they asked me to come, when Women in Tech asked me to come on here and share a little bit of some resources with everyone here on how to, so we did a poll, and the most popular one was how to observe your thoughts and emotions. So that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit today. But yeah, if you have any questions, just put them in the comment section. I will keep checking, and if on the comment section. So if you have any questions as I'm talking, feel free to ask them there. Yeah, so we can get started. So just want to tell you, just out of curiosity, I'm sure some people might not have heard of mindfulness before. So mindfulness is the practice of, staying present in the current moment while observing our thoughts and emotions and being aware of them in this present moment. And what meditation does is it helps us to build this awareness and actually then be mindful. So what I wanted to do today was just share with you some techniques that you can use the next time you are feeling overwhelmed, and just to also give you some tools as well that you can use daily. As I'm sure right now with this pandemic, being at home, and especially if you're a mom, for example, you have 3 jobs essentially right now. You're not only just taking care of your children, but you're also working full time, as well as on top of that, you still have your house chores as well. So I know that's a lot of stress, and for example, I've talked to some people that are living alone right now, so they feel very isolated because they're all alone. So obviously a lot of feelings and emotions are coming up, right, as you're spending this time alone. So what I want to talk about today is a little bit to do with more stress and anxiety, and just if you're feeling any certain emotions come up, what you can do to regulate yourself. So just to tell you a little bit about stress, is pretty much when our body and our mind is actually knocked out of its balance, because usually we're in this homeostatic state, right, and our body usually knows how to return back to it. But because our bodies are naturally trained to do that, but sometimes the stress becomes too overwhelming, and then it causes a little bit of anxiety and stress to continue. So what you can do in these moments, the next time it comes up, I'm going to teach a quick breathing exercise. And the way it works is you're going to breathe in through your nose. So we're going to just, if you're, wherever you are, just get comfortable, close your eyes, and we're going to breathe together. So taking a deep breath in through your nose, and exhale through your mouth. Take another deep breath in through your nose, and exhale through your mouth. And as you're breathing, just continue to just focus on your breath and relax your body. So relax your shoulders with this next breath. So take another deep breath in through the nose, and exhale through your mouth. Just continue to breathe. I'm going to do this for 2 more minutes. Just continue to breathe in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. So just slowly start opening your eyes and bringing your attention back. Um, how I'm sure you're feeling a lot more calm now, a lot more relaxed. And as you can see, that was really simple. It was 3 deep breaths. And that's all it takes usually, to just bring ourself into a more relaxed space. Another technique that you can use um, is to actually observe, to learn how to observe your thoughts and emotions, is to actually write down every thought that you have. So, take one day, and as you're going through your day, just kind of anytime you have this inner dialogue going on, just write down what that inner dialogue is. And the more you will do this, you will start noticing a pattern. You're actually having the same few thoughts coming up again and again. So the other question then to ask ourselves is, okay, is this thought serving me? Now, usually, when we're stressed out or we're feeling overwhelmed, a lot of thoughts aren't serving us, right? And so, for example, like right now, because it's just a really overwhelming time and we start watching the news, or we talk to our loved ones and they've heard from one of their friends or an extended family certain news, it gets us feeling overwhelmed and feeling very emotional, right? So by writing it down, what you're doing is you're first, one, getting it out of your mind, but two, it's also giving you an opportunity to actually look at that thought and decide, what, is this something that actually is serving me right now? So just out of curiosity, for all the new people that are joining, just, if you do have any questions as I'm talking, please feel free to add them in the comments section. And I'll, be happy to answer all of the questions that you have. I'm just sharing a few tips right now on what you can do to, the next time you feel any anxiety or stress come up. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing so far. So when you write down your thoughts, the next thing to ask yourself is, where did this belief come from, right? And is this like, and how can I rewrite this? And the way to do that is to think about, so I always tell myself if I have a negative thought, I always try to think of a positive thought to counter it, right? So I'll give an example. So earlier today, I was feeling really stressed out and overwhelmed by all the work that I had to do. I shifted the focus to, it's an opportunity, and I changed the statement to, I get to do this, because it's that idea of being actually grateful and thankful. So another thing that you can also do is practice gratitude. So what gratitude is this idea of observing, gratitude is essentially the practice of going through your day and actually practicing, like, being thankful for the different things in your life. So this could be, for example, the fact that you have food to eat. It could be, for example, the fact that, you're healthy, your family's healthy, you have shelter. So by doing this daily, and what I recommend doing, the way to practice this is either do it first thing in the morning or before you go to bed, actually have a journal that you can write in, or otherwise, just kind of go through. The way I do it is I lay down right before bed and I go through my day and I think about all the things that I'm grateful for. And then I kind of, just go through all of those things. So for today, it could be the fact that I'm doing this webinar. That would be one of the things. And so just kind of go through your day and, write down one thing that you're grateful for. And the people that are with me here live right now, I'd love for you to share some things that, you're grateful for today. What is one thing that's going really well in your life? And I'm actually going to give you a minute to actually think about that. So what would be that one thing that you would say that you're grateful for? And I would love for you to share if you feel comfortable. But the thing is that, gratitude is a really powerful practice, and it's actually proven through science that it actually shifts our brain activity. So it releases dopamine and serotonin in our brain, which actually is, as you know, the happy hormone, right? So it actually gets you into a more positive and happy state as well. So there's actually proven benefits to practicing gratitude daily. Another thing that you can do, and this is tying into the first thing I was talking about, is affirmations. So affirmations is affirming something that you want to create in your life. This is something that you want to build, but you per se don't have right now. Or, something that you love about yourself already and you already have that. So an example would be saying, I am confident. This could be, so it's usually I am statements, or, statements saying things that are positive. So the right opportunities flow to me easily and effortlessly. Money is good. Money is energy. I am strong. I am powerful. I am happy. I am full of light and love. So it could be anything, really, but it's an I am statement. So I'd love for you, to just kind of think about some things right now that you want to affirm in your life. What is something that, you've always wanted to create more of in your life, but, and this by more of, I don't mean like, it's not there already. It is, but it's that you want to bring it out. So it could be, you want to be more patient. So you can say, I'm patient, I'm kind, I'm loving. And what you're doing, and the reason why affirmations are so powerful is because your brain doesn't know the difference between what is real and what isn't. And a lot of times, the way our brain works is it just focuses on our past experiences. So if you've had really bad past experiences, automatically your brain is going to be in that kind of negative state, right? And it's going to believe that it's going to compare everything to that bad experience that you had. And the way to shift that is to focus on the positive things in your life, right? And to focus and to give your brain that focus on what you do want to create. So affirmations are really powerful. I use them every day. Whether I'm working out, whether I'm driving my car, whether I'm eating, I'm just kind of always saying positive things to myself. And they're usually I am statements. And the most powerful one of all is just saying, I love myself. How many times, do we say I love you to our loved ones, our partners, our friends? But we rarely say these things to ourselves. So, affirm these things in yourself as well. It's very powerful to actually acknowledge these things in yourself. Another thing that you can also do is visualization. And the way visualization works is it's to kind of create what you actually do want into your life in this moment. So this could be, for example, you want to create, more positive people around you. So a great exercise that I always suggest is kind of go, just close your eyes, get into a relaxed state. So we're going to just start off by breathing again. So take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Take another deep breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. One more time, take another deep breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. I want you to continue to just focus on your breath. Get into a relaxed state. And I want you to ask yourself, what does your perfect day look like? Who is there with you on this perfect day? What are you doing? I want you to focus on the feeling right now that this creates in you as you focus on your perfect day? Does it make you feel happy? Does it make you feel at peace? What is that feeling that you feel? And when you feel ready, I want you to slowly start opening your eyes and bring your attention back to the present moment. I want you to take a second and actually write down this perfect day. Writing is really powerful because what it's using, the way our brain works, is it uses three lobes. One of them is through hearing, one of them is through seeing, and the other one is through speaking. So when you're writing, you're seeing it, and when you speak it, you're building more of that awareness and into your body and your mind. Um, does anyone have any questions so far? Please feel free to, write in the comments if you have any questions. Another thing that I did want to talk about right now was just, being okay with where we are right now. Obviously, this is a time which is unprecedented in history, right? I mean, nothing at this level has happened in the last 100 years. And especially right now, for many of us who are, many people are practicing Ramadan, this is a great time to self-reflect. And I feel like this is what this opportunity has given us. It's given us time to self-reflect on our body, our mind, our thoughts. And so, like, use this time to just kind of go inwards, if you can, a little bit. And this could be as simple as, just going for a walk. And as you go for your walk, just kind of see, what's the feeling that's showing up for you. And if you can't go for a walk, like, just kind of listen to music, do something at home, like create, making yourself a nice meal, a nice healthy meal, and taking a nice long shower or something else to make you feel good, do something that makes you feel good. Self-care right now is really, really important. So, do something that will make you feel better throughout your day. It could be as simple as, just drinking more water. It could be, watching your favorite movie. It could be playing with your children. It could be just, going for a walk if it's possible wherever you are right now. But yeah, it's really important to do things for self-care. Um, my so for me right now, I personally just take things a day at a time because obviously a lot has shifted in a very short span of time. So I kind of, just listen to my body and I listen to what my body's telling me to do every day. And obviously this is a practice that's taken, time to create, but that's a promise I made to myself during this whole quarantine because what I noticed when it first started, the quarantine, I was feeling a lot of anxiety. I was feeling a lot of fear. And I noticed it was coming from multiple sources. One of them, that it was because this whole unknown of, what this pandemic was at the time, nobody knew. And I think to some extent we still don't know. So that was scaring me a lot, right? The other thing was obviously worry about my business. I didn't, I'm a business owner and all of my workshops used to be in person. So, I would do online workshops here and there, but my first, fear was, okay, what do I do now? Am I gonna like lose my, business? Am I gonna lose my job? So I started falling into that spiral of, feeling scared and overwhelmed. So what I started doing was just kind of, observing these thoughts that were coming up and just kind of accepting them, and when I say accepting, I don't mean like, you fall victim and you act like, okay, this is the end of the world, I can't do anything about it. When I say acceptance, what I mean is you accept where you are today. Like, this is, and you accept what's happening around you right now. But what you do is what you can do is control your reactions to it, right? And focus on that part. So I started focusing on my reaction. How can I do things differently? How can I show up differently? And the more I focused on my reactions, I noticed, um, you know, my whole viewpoint kind of shifted as well. And but it started with acceptance, like acceptance of, like, being okay if I was having a difficult day, being okay if, I didn't, I had a, just, I didn't know what to do next, just being okay with the unknown, because usually a lot of our anxiety comes from thinking about the future. We're always thinking about, okay, what's next? Whether it be on your list or whether it be on, just things that you have to do. So it's very important to not get caught up in always thinking about the future, but actually be present in this moment, because this moment is what matters. This is our reality right now, right? And what we can control is this moment. We can't control the past. The past is done, and we can't control the future because the future isn't here yet. But we can control what we can do in this moment to ensure that we have a better future, right? And it's about small baby steps, right? It's about, doing one thing at a time to get to that place of feeling better. So, don't be afraid to just kind of take baby steps, to kind of get there. And that's what I do as well. Like I just take it a day at a time right now, and things show up, and you can't control them. Like for example, uh, my mom all of a sudden last minute felt a little bit sick, and we were also worried because, especially right now, going to the hospital for somebody older, it's kind of scary. So it all worked out. She was okay, but it was just that fear that came up, right? So just kind of acknowledge however you feel in any moment. There's no wrong emotion. This whole idea that, we can be happy all the time. We can't be happy all the time. We can't be sad all the time. It's about finding this neutrality with wherever we are, but doing what we can to create that more positivity in our life, more happiness in our life. And I always say, just get curious about yourself, get curious about your body and your mind, get curious about how you're feeling, um, and kind of just enjoy that process, because this idea of observing your thoughts and emotions, it comes from a practice, right? A practice that you build every day, little by little. And what you're going to start noticing is patterns that will start showing up the more you practice this. And what those patterns help us identify is, what we need to change about ourselves, right? And because everything that we have learned, like we have learned by the age of 7, and this was through our conditioning, right? Whoever you were brought up around. So it was your conditioning by your parents, the society that you were in, the community that you were in. And that conditioning kind of shapes us into who we are today. So as we get older, we start, kind of dissecting these layers that we have, like this personality to ourselves. And we start thinking about, okay, how can I show up differently, right? There are certain things you'll notice. For example, you snap a lot and you get angry, for example, with your loved ones, and you don't like that you do this, and you're trying to change. So the way that change will come is by first just kind of acknowledging that it's there, right? Like acknowledging the fact, okay, yes, I do sometimes snap and I get angry. And then once you can acknowledge it, what you can do then is kind of then think about, okay, how do I want to show up differently? So what I do sometimes is, let's say I get really angry at a loved one. I kind of replay that scenario in my mind, and I kind of go through and I kind of, just visualize myself doing it differently. Like, how did I actually want to show up versus how I did show up, right? And how could I have shown up better next time? So really it's about a practice that comes over time. And I think it's so important to just kind of be kind to ourselves, right? As we're kind of going through this quarantine, it's really important to just kind of take your time and just go through your day and think about, how can I be kinder to myself? Like if you did snap at your loved one, for example, don't be so hard on yourself for doing that, right? Just be kind and patient with yourself. And I think that's so important right now, and something that I've also been working on. I've noticed I've been really hard on myself through this quarantine, because I think right now, because we're at home, I think what is kind of being expected by some people is for us to be even more productive, even more, learn new languages and learn new skills. And you're reading these articles where people are like, oh, you need to take advantage of your time. And honestly, I think, okay, it's good if you can do that, but if you can't do that, don't be hard on yourself. Like, honestly, I had planned on like learning Spanish. I had planned on like exercising every day. I had planned all these things, and truthfully, it hasn't happened fully to that extent. I still haven't started learning Spanish. I work out maybe once a week right now, because honestly, that's the only energy I can find. I do go on walks. That's something I find helps me a lot. So I make sure to go on a walk every 2 days. I live in Vancouver, so there's a lot of nature. So I try to take a walk in nature as much as I can. But this idea that, you're supposed to have like everything figured out and be super productive. No, I mean, if you can, good for you, but if you can't, please don't be hard on yourself, because I think I know like you're doing your best, and that's all that matters, is that we do our best in each moment, right? And I think that's the one thing that I really want everyone to know. It's keep doing your best, whatever that looks like for you today, just make sure to do that. And I want to refer to, one thing that I've kind of hung on to. It's this book called The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And he talks about these 4 agreements that, everyone should make with themselves. And what they do is they help us build, these practices help us become, the best version of ourselves. So those 4 agreements are, the first one is be impeccable with your word. What he meant by that is, always, don't say something unless you really mean it, and only speak like kind words. If something isn't kind, don't say it, right? And he said the reason behind this is because sometimes, like a lot of us, we're just, making conversation for the sake of making conversation, right? So there's just a lot of filler things that we just say. Oh, the weather's nice outside today. Oh, how are you doing? Oh, I'm good. Even if you might not be good, you might just still say I'm good, because it's such a habit. So when you're becoming conscious of what you're speaking, you're actually then, creating more awareness, right? So I've actually practiced this, right? I'm very conscious of what I'm speaking and how I'm saying things, because genuinely, I don't want to hurt anybody, right? And I don't want to just fill up, speak for the sake of speaking. I genuinely want to say something that could actually be worthwhile. So that's one way of becoming. So the second thing was, don't make assumptions. What he meant by that was, don't assume things. So what happens a lot is, let's say, for example, somebody looked at us a weird way. You know, it could be our loved one, or you're walking down the street and somebody just gave you a look, and you build this whole story in your mind. You're like, oh, you know, why did that person look at me like that? Why, who do they think they are? Like, and like, let's say you went up to that person and you asked that person, hey, you know, I noticed you looked at me this way. I just was wondering, like, why, you know, why did you look at me like that? And they could say, oh, I had a pain in my leg. That's why I looked like, you know, in a strange way. And so it was nothing to even do with you, but you built this whole dialogue in your head about, like, you know, this person thinking a certain way about you. So that's what he was talking about. That was the second one. Don't make assumptions. The third one was, you know, do your best in each moment. And what he meant by that was, you know, what our best might be in one moment. For example, you had a great night's sleep, and so you wake up, you know, you're very and the day before was really good, so you wake up in a really good mood, and you're ready to seize your day, right? And that's like you're having a really good day. Let's say now another day, you woke up and you were actually really, really tired, and you had a really tough day, right? And because let's say your baby was crying all night, so you didn't get a lot of sleep, and or your loved one was sick, so you were busy taking care of them. And so the next day your energy is low and you can't do a lot. So in that moment, you know, you might make assumptions about, you know, in that moment, your best would be different from what it was when you did wake up, you know, sleep, when you had a good night's sleep and you had, you know, woken up in a good mood. So your best is shifting in each moment. So just do your best, whatever it looks like in each moment. And the last one he said was, don't take anything personally. What he meant by that was, you know, even if somebody says something hurtful to us, you know, for example, your friend's having a really bad day and they, you know, they take out their anger on you, or your coworker takes their anger out on you. Even though that anger is coming out at you, it's not about you. They're just probably having a really bad day and they're trying to make sense of it. And so it might feel personal to you in that moment, but it's not about you. It's just they're having a really bad day. That's all it is. So, you know, don't ever assume, like, you know, don't take things personally, whatever is happening in life, even an experience that is directed at you, it's not about you. It's an opportunity. Everything, I believe, every event, every thought that we have, every, you know, emotion that we feel, it's an opportunity for us to actually learn something about ourselves or learn something about life. And that's what, you know, I also mean by curiosity. Like, just if you get curious, it teaches us so much, right? That perspective of just being curious about whatever's happening in our life. So yeah, I think, you know, it's really important to just kind of take it a day at a time right now. Observe your, you know, whatever you're feeling, just kind of look at it from a third person. I always say think of yourself as a third person looking in, and you know, write down your thoughts. Write down, you know, what are the different narratives that you have in your mind about yourself. And then ask yourself, where did this start? Because usually a lot of these narratives start in our childhood. So that's why it's really important to kind of just, you know, observe any patterns that you have and see where they're coming from, because a lot of them usually start because of a bad experience in our childhood, or something else happened in our life that kind of, you know, kind of mistrust people or not trust people as much. So just kind of write down these narratives, and then you know, ask yourself, what is the narrative I want to have, right? How do you want your life to actually be? And write that down. And this is a really cool exercise, because what you'll start discovering is you're actually having a lot of the same thoughts and emotions every day. And the more you practice this, the more it's going to become clear on where it's coming from. But yeah, does anyone have any questions? Anyone want to share any thoughts that they're having as they're listening to this. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Okay. The next thing I wanted to talk about was intention setting. Um, Intention setting is where you're becoming intentional about everything that you're doing. So, for example, you wake up in the morning. How many times do you take, the time to actually write down or think about your intention for the day? I think a lot of us forget to do that. So it's really important to kind of, go through first thing in the morning, just kind of, your intention could be, I'm going to drink 8 cups of water today. That could be your intention for the day. It could be, I'm going to complete these 3 tasks that I have at work today. And you can write down those tasks. Your intention can be, I'm going to make time to play with my children today, or I'm going to make time to go on a walk with my partner today. So that intention could be, something that you just want to create more, in your day. And it's really powerful because I've actually noticed a difference. The days where I'm very intentional, where I actually think about, what do I want to create today? My days are super productive, or I've noticed I actually end up doing those things versus the days where, I don't kind of think about, okay, what is it that I want to create today? So yeah, it's very important to kind of, become very intentional with our lives and actually think about, what is it that we want to do? How do we want to show up? Because you're more likely to do it then if you actually, believe that you can and you actually write about it and you do it. So yeah, being very intentional is very, very important. I highly encourage it. Out of curiosity, does anyone actually practice it right now? And how are you practicing it in your life? I would love to hear from you. And I'm just curious, does anyone practice mindfulness right now? And like, if you are, how are you practicing mindfulness in your life? Yeah? No? Okay. Um, the next thing I wanted to talk about um, was just this concept of just breathing. And what I mean by breathing is, like how do you build actual meditation practice? So first of all, there's actually different types of meditations, right? There isn't like, of course, people have this image. It's, meditation is you sit on the ground and you close your eyes and you have to be cross-legged. No, you don't have to be like, on the ground cross-legged to meditate. It's about finding a comfortable position. So you could even just be sitting in a chair, comfortably leaning back. It can be laying down on your bed. Um, and just kind of what meditation is, bringing your attention to your body, right? And the way you do that is through your breath. What I always recommend for people is if you're first starting off, just start by taking 3 deep breaths. A deep breath in through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. And take another deep breath in through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. And do that one more time. Take another deep breath in through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. And what I want you to do is now find your natural rhythm, right, with your breath. Whatever feels natural to you. It could be breathing in and out of your mouth. It could be breathing through your nose. But just finding a natural rhythm. And what you will notice when you first do this is, you will feel like fidgeting. You will feel your thoughts keep coming up and they try to distract you. This is all very normal. It's normal to feel all these things, and just just acknowledge it. So the next time you find yourself, when you're meditating and the thoughts come up, just acknowledge it. And, and just tell yourself, okay, you know what? I'm gonna just observe, I see you, and just talk yourself through it. So literally talk yourself through it. Say, I see you, I acknowledge you, and you know what? But I'm going to come back to my breath, and then come back to your breath. And you can even play music in the background, whatever music that you find relaxing. If on YouTube, if you go on YouTube, there's a bunch of free resources on there. If you type in guided meditation, there's a bunch that come up. There's even apps like Headspace, Insight Timer, Calm. These are all great apps to get started on meditation. They have many different types of meditations on there. Another great resource also, I actually do guided every Thursday. I do guided meditations. They're 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's 12 a.m. your time for a majority of you. But if you are up that late, what I do is I actually take a global group of people through a guided meditation every Thursday for 1 hour. And I also share mindfulness tips as well. It's very interactive, and it's very powerful for people that have attended it. So, kind of come to the next one and see how it is. And let me know what you think. And another great resource that I recommend as well, what I do recommend doing, there's different types of meditations, as I mentioned. The other type is, when you're going for a walk next time, while you're walking, because I know for some people it's really hard to sit still, and so that's why they find meditation really hard. So for those people, what I recommend is doing a walking meditation. And what a walking meditation is while you're walking, you're just focusing on your breath. So you could be, just breathe, and as you're walking, engage your senses, engage, your sight, engage the smell sense, engage, try to touch something. What you're doing while you're doing this is you're bringing your attention all into that present moment, and start looking for the details in things. So the more you do this, what it's going to do is, it's going to help you bring all your attention back to the present moment. Try it out. Let me know what you think. It's really powerful. And, the other type of meditation is obviously there's you can meditate right before you go to sleep. So there's actually music that you can play in the background that will help you get into a more relaxed and sleeping state as well. There's something called a vipassana, which is like observing your sensations in your body. And the way to practice that is, again, grounding yourself by taking 3 deep breaths in. And as once you get into a more grounded state, just kind of going from head to the bottom, from the top of your head, going through your face, down your, chest, your stomach, down your thighs, to your legs, and just observe any sensations that you have. This could be a tingling, you could feel pulsating feeling, it could feel itchy somewhere, it could be sweat. Just get curious and just observe these sensations, because when you start actually going in deeper, you'll notice certain thoughts will surface, certain feelings will surface, and that's because our body actually stores our pain unless we actively release it. So there's something called a pain body, and that's our body just storing all this pain that we might have carried from past experiences. So if you do want to learn more, I do have a page on Instagram and Facebook. It's called Be Calm. So it's BEKALM, Be Calm Mind. And so, check us out. I post daily mindfulness advice on there. As mentioned, every Thursday I do a guided meditation from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 12 a.m. for majority of the people on this on this live right now. But yeah, check us out. If you have any questions, yeah, feel free to write them in the comments or message me. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. But yeah, thank you for joining, and I hope you found some of these things helpful. And yeah, and if you want to do a deeper guided meditation, I recommend attending next Thursday. All right, thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day, and I hope to hear from some of you soon. All right, and if you are interested also as well to bring us to your business, we do you know, online webinars for a lot of organizations and their teams. So if you are interested, please message me, and I'll be happy to provide you more information. Thank you for your time. My name is Farah, and I hope you have a lovely day, and I'm sending light and love to all of you. Take care. Bye.